Hi, my name is Trina. I am a body and mindset business coach, and I mainly work with business women, help business women unlock their physical and emotional well-being so they're able to attract the right clients and also kind of just have a load of amazing breakthroughs so they're able to manifest more easier. So today, this is our social media switch off interview. So the purpose of the social media switch off is to allow you to take more time away so you're able to listen into your body and see what your body needs. But also equally, it's for you to try out some of the amazing tools what our experts have and to be able to follow them and see how they're able to change your life. So today we have the amazing Christine Wright, motivational speaker, habit breaker. I've known her so long. This is just such a spiritual being. And yeah, we're going to speak about quite a few things today, especially in terms of alcoholism. I know Christine has an amazing story to tell. And we're also going to go a little bit deeper with this as well. So we're going to talk about the physical side of things, but the side of things that sometimes we don't even talk about, which is the spiritual side of things as well. So welcome, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. This is cool.
I am truly, truly excited to have you here. And we've just been just sitting and chatting for ages before we've actually even pressed record, because, there's just so much to learn from Christine. She has a wealth of information, and you know what? As a non-drinker myself as well, just the stuff that you're saying, I could literally I can so connect with, and not only that as well, I can connect with the parts that are within my family as well. So tell us more about yourself.
Right, okay, so I've been drinking since I was 14 years old, or used to drink, sorry, reframe. That's what it's all about. It's all about the reframing.
I know it is, isn't it?
I used to drink, and my journey started when I was 14 years old, and that was purely for escapism. My parents had a really, really bitter divorce. And the only way that I could deal with that was by binge drinking, obviously at weekends, behind the billboards with the school friends, and taking it to excess. I was always the one that didn't know when to stop. And so that kind of was the start of my alcohol journey. And then it started to progress through midweek as well. And then throughout that process, so I'd say before I was 17 years old, I had a whole host of trauma to deal with, and I might have to put some trigger warnings in here. If anybody needs it afterwards, please feel free to private message me or Trina. So when I got to the age of 17, I'd already been subjected to obviously the abandonment issues with my parents, because Mum actually left me and my sister, and she moved on to a new partner. So that was a whole host of why didn't we go with you? And that's really why I hit the bottle, because it was the abandonment. It was also the hatred that had built up between Mum and Dad. It was a very, very turbulent divorce. I then lied to my father, saying that I'd not been out, and I had, and he caught me out. So from there on, he threw me out. He said, if you can't live by my rules, you get out. So then there was the abandonment of, right, okay, even my dad doesn't want me. So that meant that I had to go live with Mum. And by this time, she'd moved in with her partner, and we just didn't see eye to eye. So fortunately, she chose me over him, and then she left that relationship, which meant that we were homeless. So we were homeless for a period of time, in and out of bed and breakfast, which were paid for by social housing. Was also sofa surfing between friends,
Wow.
and we ended up in homeless units before we actually got our social housing.
Wow.
In the homeless units, I was privy to prostitution, drug abuse, more alcoholism, and obviously a lot of manipulation. So even by the time of age of 16, I had all this going on as well as my GCSE. So there's a whole like holy shit moment. It's like, what the hell? I'm only this age and things are treating me so badly.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell into the victim mentality there. And then that progressively got worse because at 17 I was very seriously sexually violated, of which I didn't report because I told people nearest and dearest to me, but they didn't do anything about it. And I was like, well, if my own close family and friends aren't doing anything about it, what chances of the police believing me? So therefore I lived with that stigma and that demon in the closet right up until last year. I actually reported it last year because I felt strong enough, and it just needed to, well, I didn't do it on purpose. It came out whilst I was speaking to a police officer about something else. So, and she says, Kristen, I have to stop you. She says, you've just reported a crime that took place, a violation that took place to you when you were 17 years old. I have to log this. So I said, I don't mind you logging it. I'm not ready to pursue it and for you to act on it.
Yeah.
So that's there if I need to do that. So that was 17. So this was like, then I'm happy to say it wasn't all doom and gloom. I went away to college, went away to uni, I went away to Cyprus. I lived in Cyprus, which I was in the party bit, you know, Paphos. I lived above all the bars. I was the one that was entertaining people, wearing wings, hot pants, knee boots, going, come into this bar, dancing for them. I had a blast. At the time, I didn't think I did, but on reflection, I had a blast. I was also there working in hotels. That was part of my degree. But again, a lot of that was drinking. You know, it's like, I remember being laid in my apartment one night thinking, geez, I just wish they'd all shut up. I've got to be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning for breakfast service. And there's no way I could compete with a row of bars. So again, it was like, if you can't beat them, join them. So I'd go out and I'd be crawling into home at 4 o'clock in the morning, having a shower, and then going straight to breakfast service, still absolutely hammered, serving all these Brits, you know, but they were loving it because I was a British girl, and you know, it was a really posh hotel. I'm there walking around with bread roll, you know, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Peed, absolutely so drunk. And then that just became a cycle. Yeah. And obviously I left Cyprus, came home, always said I'd never get married because of the turbulence of mum and dad. But I met the man of my dreams, and within 6 weeks he'd asked me to marry him, and I said yes. All my friends were like, what? Oh my God, she really is crazy. This definitely is crazy Christine hitting the zone big time. And yeah, life was really good. And, you know, I built up my own business, floristry business.
Wow.
Had my 2 boys. And I thought, you know, we had our house built, the boys were going in private ed. So everything was like really cozy, from going from this homeless aspect of my life previously to, oh God, I'm having my house built, my eldest is in private ed, you know,
wow.
My own business. It was a massive shift for me mentally, and emotionally, because I had the support of my husband. I thought it was amazing. He knew me warts and all, so he knew everything that had gone on. And then a curveball came, and that curveball was that he'd had an affair. So I was like, oh my God. So everything that I had gone through as a child with mum and dad's relationship just came haunting me, just completely came back, as well as my own grief for what was happening around me. And I just was like, I was kind of catapulted into this pit of despair, where I did just drink then to completely block everything out. Because we tried for the best part of, I think it was 7 months, we went to counselling and everything. But it was just evident that he didn't want to make it work. So I was flogging a dead horse, really.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, okay. And then I had a care from that. Throughout that time, I found out that I'd lost a baby girl as well. So that really was like, and that's where I really felt I can't cope. And that's where I was starting to mix my drink with prescriptive drugs. And fortunately, the evening that I did that, with every intent and purpose of not being here, somebody else up there was like, hell no, it's not your time to go yet, love. You've two boys and you've a business. And that's really what pulled me out of that despair, was my boys and not wanting I didn't want to let my brides down. So I went on this journey of still self-destruct, because I was still drinking heavily.
Yeah.
And I went through a process of literally, it would be drinking, new relationship, more drink, failed relationship, drinking, new relationship, failed relationship.
Yeah.
And I just got into this perpetual cycle and this habit. And it was purely because I wasn't doing the self-discovery thing. I was doing everything else what people thought was the right thing to do, even though deep down I knew 2 of the relationships there's no way I should have entered into, but I was doing it because, no, this is the right thing, this could be my change. And I was kind of hoping that they would pull me out of the pit. And they were the worst 2 relationships ever. So there was narcissism, there was everything in there. One of them was a drinker himself. So, at 40 years old, I'd be going out to clubs and not coming home till 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd be going out to clubs and finding myself ending up in ambulances because I've collapsed, or I've had too much to drink. It was just that. It was horrendous. That period of my life was really, really not good. And then obviously the grief from losing my father, that was 2 years ago. 2018, I lost my father. So that was a massive thing as well. But yet, unbeknown to everybody else, I was still living this perfect lifestyle because my social media was full of, oh, Christine's abroad, she's doing flowers in Prague, she's doing flowers in Italy, she's doing flowers in Paris. Oh my gosh, she's doing flowers for this TV show, the drama. She's doing celebrity florists, weddings, flowers for celebrities. So everybody thought I had this perfect life. But inside it was absolutely turmoil, and I knew something was missing. I always thought my passion, my purpose was floristry, because that's something that I always knew I wanted to do from being 6, 7 years old. But it wasn't until I had, this is where I touch on the spirituality side. So I had a little bit of cosmic intervention in 2019. So it was January 2019 that I met my earth angel, and he's called Danny. And Danny was a extremely troubled soul. So it's not like he was a guy who, he had these bright big angel wings and a halo, and he could sing, and he wasn't called Archangel Gabriel. It was like Danny, and like Danny had the weight of the world on his shoulders, really. And I can say that with 100% conviction, because he was over the other side of a safeguard rail over a busy motorway bridge. And I'd had a pull. I'd dropped mum off at home, and normally I'd go in for a coffee, And I was like, no, I need to get home. I had this real deep sense of, I just need to go home. In my head, I'm thinking it's my kids, because I've left them at home, even though the eldest was 21. I think, no, Mum, I'll call you. I just need to get in the car and go. And I went over the same route I would go home. And I could see this gent acting really peculiarly to the right-hand side of me. I'm going up, so he's on the right-hand side. He was just pacing this bridge. And I could see him in the distance just pacing, and didn't really think anything of it until I got past him. And I thought, no, there's something seriously wrong there. But by this point, I'd driven past him. And I had that real pull again, so I turned round at the roundabout, turned round, came back round, and by this point he was over the bridge. So I literally leaped out of the car, grappled him and pulled him over the bridge, fortunately the right way, because otherwise it could have been not very good ending for both of us, really.
Yeah, it could have been both of you.
Yeah, so, but I pulled him over and I was sat with him for about 30 minutes, just listening to him. And I can actually say this story now. I remember when I first started to say this story, I'd just burst into tears. I'd really choke up. And it was like that was like the epiphany for me. It was like am I allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah, you are. That's fine.
It was like, what the hell am I seeing? What the hell am I doing? And it was whilst I was looking at him and looking into his eyes whilst he was talking to me, telling me how worthless he felt, how unloved, he was dealing with grief, how he'd always had failed relationships, how he was the black sheep of the family, how he felt he had no purpose in life. And I was just sat there. He was crying. We were both covered in snot and tears. And I just looked and I thought, looking into his eyes, I was looking at myself. It was like a mirror reflection. And that really was it for me. You know, it was like, what the hell? If I don't do something about this, about me, I need to start regaining control. And so the services came, they took him away, and I went home. Obviously shaken up. First thing I did was reach for a glass of wine or gin. I can't remember what it was that night, but that's the first thing I did, you know. And one glass led to another, took it to bed, and it was on my mind all night. Right, Christine, you have to sort your shit out, because you were in that place years ago. You were in that place yourself so many years ago. This could be you. And that was the realization for me. I found my true purpose. I found my calling. So when people say to me, well, you were Danny's earth angel because you saved him. To this day, I still don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's alive still or if he's tried doing it again. But I turned it round and I said, well, actually, reframed it. I reframed it and I said, he's actually my earth angel because he's put me on a path of self-discovery, spirituality, and me wanting to serve other people from not getting that far down the line. So not necessarily helping alcoholics or people with unhealthy habits, whether or not that's gaming, gambling, drugs, retail, foods. It's you know what, let's change the habit. So to break a habit, you have to make a new habit. And that's really what I did. So my floristry career stopped the 21st of March last year, much to the dismay of everybody, the world that I knew. I was in floristry for 20 years. I was held in quite high regard, and people go, you're not doing flowers, are you for real? And when I was saying, no, this is what I'm going to do now, how are you going to do it? And I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to do it. I just need to do it. And they're like, you've not got a PhD, you're not a hypnotherapist, you're not this, you're not that. How on earth can you, a florist, go and help other people not drink, not do this. And I'm like, I just have to do it. So I closed the doors to my shop on the 31st of March. I honoured all my events last year, didn't take any on for this year or the year 2021 because we were often booked in advance. And my lease on my shop was up in January this year. And I just went, that's it. It's all about Habit Breaker. And that's really what I've done. So it's been a bit of a journey this past year. But do I feel better? Yeah, because I've not drank. I stopped drinking myself. I've gone down a more holistic approach. I'm sat here with like my homeopathic remedies, you know. I've gone down a more holistic approach to my healing. Like I said, I still have to take my medication for my liver. That only, can you believe, that only came through 2 weeks ago. So yeah. The first Western medicine the first proper medicine for my liver, I had an adverse reaction to. And there was nothing on the market because it was still a relatively new disease. But now there's another medicine that's a 50-50 chance of working. So that only came through to me 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. But prior to that arriving, I started taking homeopathic remedies. I'm taking milk thistle. I'm using the peridot crystal because that helps with cleansing and liver healing. You name it, I'm doing everything in my power. You know, I'm mind hacking this liver thing to and I believe that I will stop it from progressing further because I have far too much to do. My mission means I've got far too much to do. And I liken it to another part of my story. Who's to say that I don't become an ambassador for PBC? Who's to say that I don't, you know, raise awareness for it? I'm just thinking, it's just another thing just to put there, and then that's what I'm going to do as well. So rather than dwell on it and let it eat me up from the inside, I'm embracing it. I'm going, right, okay, I'm ready. This is what I need to do. I'm stepping up to the plate.
I love that because you're using it as a more positive rather than a negative. And I think, you know, especially when it comes to alcohol in particular, and especially when it comes to walking away from alcohol in particular, we can also have really negative traits that we kind of walk away with. Even when we go through that kind of transition, we can come away with a lot of negative traits. And I kind of truly believe it's about kind of looking at each trait as it comes in and then kind of just working through each one. And it's so beautiful that that you told us about, your story and how it went through and how, because the thing that kind of came up was, and I know a lot of people go through this, is shame and guilt. Kind of like proper interlinked, aren't they? Especially when it comes to alcohol, especially when it comes to not just alcohol though. It's like many things.
Even if you develop an unhealthy habit, and I mean the thing with alcohol, it's so accepted within our culture to reach for the bottle, whether or not that's to celebrate or to commiserate. When you go to a funeral, it's a commiseration, but yet it's party time, and you're encouraged. Let's have a drink. Let's do this. Let's do that. If you have a shit day at work, it's okay to reach for a glass of wine at the end of it. And go, do you know what?
Absolutely.
If you've reached all your targets at work, oh yes, I've reached my targets. I'm going to celebrate. Let's have a glass. Let's have a bottle. So, and that's what makes alcohol so readily available and easy to adapt and adopt an unhealthy habit. Whereas if you're celebrating something, a target at work, you're not going to go openly in front of everybody and go, oh, do you know what? Let's have a line of cocaine. Do you know? let's, you know.
It depends on who your friends were at the time.
That
That's the thing, because I mean, like, you know, I mean, I'm very open and honest about, yeah, I used to take drugs and I used to drink as well. And it depended on who your friends were, you know, whether you were going to go down that route. Yeah, but yeah, you wouldn't say it like a normal, yeah.
And I think that's the thing. It's so normalised, you know. You see, my kids, Mum, can I have a taste of that glass? Can I have a taste of that wine? Yeah, of course you can. Have it. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't shove some cocaine up a kid's nose. And,
no.
And that's the thing. That's the scary thing with alcohol. And it wasn't until I accepted that I was a functioning alcoholic, and that's the grey area, the functioning alcoholic. I wasn't getting up in the morning and I wasn't reaching for the bottle. I wasn't reaching for vodka. I wasn't reaching for a glass of wine. I was functioning. I was getting up, and the craving would come at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I really started to think, and when I reflected back on my drinking years, like, holy shit, I was dependent on alcohol, because I did feel nauseous at 5. I did have the shakes at 5. But as soon as I had a drink, it all disappeared.
I'm truly with you. I'm truly with you on this, because it's the same.
And I think things like your gin o'clock, your wine o'clock, your prosecco time. I used to have prosecco Monday. I used to make excuses. Oh, it's prosecco. No, it's prosecco Tuesday. So I'd go out with my best friend just to the local hotel. Prosecco Tuesday, we'd drink prosecco. Friday night would be party night. Saturday night would be party night. I have all these excuses. But I think it is so normalised, and that is, I mean, there's 600,000 dependent drinkers. That's
Wow.
That's functioning alcoholics. There's 600,000 in the year 2017, 2018. The statistics show that there were 600,000 people like me doing what I was doing, and only 82% of them were not getting any treatment because of things.
That's crazy.
Massively. So the ones that were getting treatment are because they were either involved in road traffic accidents, they gone to the doctors for something else, and their liver function test came back abnormal. And again, my whole, you know, I'm sat reading these stats, and I'm learning about alcohol, I'm like going, holy shit, this is just me to a T. So yeah, it is quite scary. And going back to the, you know, the judgment, the shame, the guilt, one of the whole, my 3 core values, so Habit Breakers' core values are freedom, health and community. So freedom from the unhealthy habit, freedom from the stigma, freedom, financial freedom, community, so that you can support each other, and there's no shame, there's no stigma, there's no fear, and there's no guilt, because you're all in there to live your better life, and you're all there to help one another. It's a real community where if you're having a shit day and you feel like it, you can pop it in the social media bit and, you know, the private group, and we build you up. It's like, don't worry about it. You've fallen off the wagon. It's fine. It's not about sobriety. It's about regaining a healthy relationship. And that's the thing. It's taking away the, holy shit, I've had a glass of wine. Who cares? You've had a glass of wine.
Exactly.
You're fine. And I think the big thing for me, for my healing process last year, so 2019 was huge in terms of business and development, but it was even bigger for me for my own personal development and healing. So as soon as I learned the art of forgiveness, that's when I just went like that. I forgave the guy who assaulted me when I was 17. I forgave the people who didn't help me when I needed them the most. Forgave my husband for being a knob. You know, all this, it's just like, right, okay, because I'm not holding on to that negativity or that angst. It's allowed me to move forward and progress and develop spiritually, mentally, and emotionally.
And I think that's so beautiful as well. I mean, I know full well it takes people time, doesn't it, to kind of like come to terms with these things, I suppose, and come to terms with themselves. There's a lot of, I tell you what, and this is what I got as well before I even stopped drinking. There's a lot of FOMO, that fear of missing out, not being able to like go out with and you feel like you're not able to go, like, kind of go out anymore. You're still able to go out. You're still able to have fun. And you're so right. You hit the nail on the head in terms of changing that relationship. Because when you change the relationship, that's what makes the difference. It's a changing of the relationship. It kind of works. It works in all senses, doesn't it? It works in gambling. It works in food. It works in every single, it works in every single thing. It's the shame and the guilt that kind of keeps you in that realm.
And the
that
fear.
Kind of, yeah.
Fear. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, the fear of missing out. It's like, okay, you know, and once I mean, we have little hacks in there. Once you learn, and a lot of it is visualization. It's like, okay, you visualize yourself in that scenario. You want to go out, but you don't want to go out because you don't want to be seen as the boring one. You don't want to be seen as, oh my God, they're really going to come out because if they're not drinking, does that mean that we can't drink? Or are we having to be careful of how much we drink? And I remember my first night out was with a group of people I didn't really know, which is really bizarre. I knew one guy who was a really, really good friend. He was in the army, and they were celebrating, they were all getting together because a statue had been popped up in our local town for their regiment. And this guy, lovely guy, he kind of helped me. When I left my husband, I moved into a complex which was just full of squaddies. It had electric gates, and it was just full of squaddies. And I thought, I'm so protected here. So obviously me and the boys got a really good bonding with, I think there was about 12 soldiers who looked out for us, because obviously I was really vulnerable then. My boys were vulnerable, and they proper took us under our wing. And so when Chappie, he says, he lives in Middlesbrough, he says, right, I'm coming to Halifax, and they're opening this statue. And I'm like, oh, Chappie, I really don't know if I can go. It'll be my first time not drinking. I don't know the people you're going with. And he was like, Christine, they're a great bunch of people, and you won't be judged. You'll be all right. And do you know what? I had an absolute blast. And it was such an eye-opener for me to see how people actually conduct themselves after consuming a shed load of alcohol. I was absolutely mortified. I was like walking around going, is she really doing that? But thinking, oh my gosh, I was worse than that. And that's the thing, it was a real eye-opener for me, because I'd never put myself in that scenario before.
Had you never?
Never. I have never gone out and not drank. Never.
I've done it. I'd actually done it in the past, so I knew I could actually, just go out. And I think my first proper time out was clubbing, a day out clubbing, and I just had just me and my best mate had an amazing time drinking just tonic water and having like a proper bop about. But the thing is, if you've got, and this goes to anyone who's watching this right now, if you feel like you can't be the outgoing one still, I just want to kind of beg to differ with you. If you've ever been to a fitness class and let it all go in Zumba or whatever, and you've been like kind of jumping around the floor or anything like that, even if you've been in a situation where you kind of dance around your kitchen, you have it within you to go out on a day out or on a night out and still do that same thing. No one's going to give a shit because we're all pissed anyway. No one's going to even kind of like kind of even be bothered or anything like that. And I think sometimes we kind of forget that. We kind of think, oh well, because, and like you said, it's that societal conditioning. I mean, I grew up in a white Irish Catholic family, so to not drink is kind of like a little bit different, but it doesn't mean that you cannot be fun. I truly believe your inner being is fun anyway. Your inner self is full of fun. And, when you reconnect with your inner being, you're the one who's like kind of like jumping up and down.
Yeah. Just need to tune into it. And that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, if you liken it to a radio station, you're just tuning in. Right, okay. I don't like that music. Right, I'm going to go along here. And that's where you kind of find yourself.
Yeah.
That's where you really do start to, the champagne bubbles, the things popping out. But to me, it was like, my drinking experiences started at 14, and that was all I knew. It was like, okay, I'm sat behind billboards with my mates in the park drinking Thunderbird, Mad Dog 2020, caning it, absolutely Castaway, Blastaways, Green Monsters, you name it. We'd be drinking on the bus. The funny thing is, though, Trina, I looked so young. How I got into nightclubs at 14 years old is beyond me.
Same.
I was wearing my sister's clothes, so I'd be shoulder pads. I'd have flares, which were too big for me. Honestly, I see photographs of me now and I go, I look bloody 12. I was tiny. And if we were going queuing to nightclubs, the girls would go before me because they know I'd often go, no, you're not going in. You're too young. So the stuff and ID me, I'd have my fake ID, and I was that pissed at the time, most of the time, trying to get in the club. They'd go, what's your date of birth? And I'd just show them my, what's your date of birth? So I'd have to remember, it's the same as hers, and they're like, you're out. And the amount of times that my friends got in the clubs, but I didn't, but we got so savvy to this, right, we'll meet you at the fire escape. And they'd open the fire escape.
Wow.
Fire escape, and the amount of times it would be like cat and mouse in the nightclub because the bouncers would see me.
I love this because it's almost like you keep trying anyway. It's like if you didn't get in one place, you kind of like go to another place and you try it there instead. And I want to know, what was the kind of pinpoint where it kind of changed from being fun, because obviously it's fun at first, isn't it, to where it kind of didn't become fun anymore?
I would say the incident, well, it was fun throughout the divorce element of my mum and dad. On a weekend, it was fun because I was with friends. When I was at home, sneaking it, because I used to sneak it from the cupboard, the booze cupboard, and fill it back up with water, hoping that Dad wouldn't realise. Again, it's just the complete naivety of it, and nicking my sister's booze and stuff like that. That's where there was an element of fun in there of being caught out, that kind of but the real, where I knew I was starting to get really problematic, was the rape element. It was like, right, okay, I just completely zoned out, and it was like alcohol really took over at that point. Because I thought, well, nobody believes me. I am the girl in the town who is always pissed. I was known for that. So why would people believe me? And it's, again, it's the shame of not just the violation, but the shame of, if people did find out, they'd probably say, well, she probably deserved it. She's always pissed. What was she wearing? And to this day, I can tell you exactly. I was covered head to toe, not a thing showing, just my head. I had a long black dress on, a white blouse underneath the dress, and 70 denier tights. There was not an inch of skin showing. And I just thought there was all that stigma. And from that stigma was born a lot of hatred towards myself, a lot of I'm not good enough, I'll never find a husband, I've been told I'm damaged goods, I've been, and it's like all these labels then get put on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really when I saw the decline.
Yeah.
It then started to become fun again when I went away to university. I'd left that scene, I'd left that crowd. I had another focus, which was getting my degree, but also with that comes university life, the drinking. But then it was fun because I had a new set of friends, and then the Cyprus, that was fun. I was in the, Paphos. It's like it's so many bars, so that was fun. And then the getting back, meeting my husband, it was just the drinking through the week. I will have an odd glass with dinner. It was never a serious thing in terms of we're having 2 bottles of wine each a night or anything like that. The real shocker came when I found out about the curveball with the and that's when I hit it completely full on. Then that was just like, right, okay, I need this to survive. I was using it as a survival tool, getting up, functioning, going to work, coming back, having the drink, painting that happy face on my face for the children so that they didn't realise there was something wrong with mum. And that's how it was for probably a decade, just me completely drinking and caning it.
And the next thing that I really want to ask is in terms of the money aspect, because I know that when I was in that situation, I was spending more money on alcohol than my own kids.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I'd actually, I don't know about you if you went to AA, but I actually went to AA. And I kind of sat in AA thinking, this is not me. This is not me. And then this guy started speaking, and he said, that was it. I was having a go at everyone else over loads of money stuff that had actually gone on, rather than himself, rather than looking at what he was actually doing. And I just sat there and went, okay, that. And I don't know if you've had the same thing where, like the money in particular, even though you've still got money coming in, because obviously you had a great floristry business and I had a physical fitness business, and you still have that money coming in, but the money is going elsewhere and it's not going. Yeah.
I was super thrilled when I found out that you could get meal deals, so you could have the meal, Tesco meal deals. I used to sit and I used to work out, right, okay, for £50 a week, the boys are going to get dinners because it's a meal deal for 2. I get a bottle of wine. So for £50 a week, the boys get fed, I get 5 bottles of wine. 5 bottles of wine aren't going to feed me, so I need to add an extra 50 quid on top of that for my wine. So that's another, 5 bottles of wine. So I've got 10 bottles of wine. And that is literally how I used to do it. I used to equate my money, right, okay, I've got that for that. The boys are fed. Yes, I need to get a few fresh bits and stuff like that. I'd go down the yellow sticker aisles in the clearance bits as well, in the supermarkets to what's going out of date. That's cheap, I'll have that. That means I've got more money to spend on that bottle of wine. Oh, hey, I'm getting into gin now. I really like gin. Oh, it's a little bit more expensive, so therefore kids are going to have to eat this more sticker. Do you know what I mean? And that is how it was. It was literally. And then when I started in the retail outlet, I got myself a retail shop. The amount of people that used to come into my floristry shop and just sit in my consultation lounge and just chill out with me, like particularly on a Saturday, I'd have nibbles. I could have made more money in my floristry shop selling nibbles and wine. But people just used to point, if you go
absolutely.
around 3-4 o'clock, she's opened a bottle of wine. You can go in and have a glass of wine with her. And that's how I did. I used to drive home. I am so not proud. On a weekend, I would drive home on 2-3 glasses of wine And
Yeah.
it was a 45-minute drive on the motorway. And that scares me. That really scares me, because at that point, it was like, you need to sort your shit out. Then I kind of got savvy, thought, right, okay, I've got a mezzanine area. The boys are at their dad's on a weekend. I could just stay over in my shop. And that's what I did. I put a bed in my shop upstairs. I had a kitchen area anyway, so I could physically live in my shop. I had the hotel across the road, and I'd just go in there and have a shower, because they had a sauna and they had a swimming pool. So I didn't have to have a house. I could have lived in my shop. But that's when things really, really got bad. So that was probably, what were we in, 2018.
Yeah.
I was in a really, really terrible narcissistic relationship, and he was a drinker. And that's another reason why it was easier for me to close down my shop, because he'd just turn up at my shop, he'd come in, he'd cause a scene, he'd be drunk.
Wow.
And the amount of happy memories that I had in the shop were being outweighed by the negative and the memories. So again, I just used to lock myself in the shop, go upstairs, put my candles on, and just get absolutely blottoed in my shop. And, you know, to me, it was just a way of dealing with things. And it's shameful to look back and see how bad I really was, to think that I'd be okay driving. That is just...
But the thing is, you know, and I truly believe this, the more that we kind of beat ourselves up is the more that it keeps everything alive, keeps the power in everything. I want to kind of touch on what kind of brought you out of it?
Brought me out of the drinking.
It was the angel, wasn't it?
The angels, yeah. So it was Danny, which again, and I think I've mentioned to you previously, my spirituality, since I've stopped drinking, I am more open to receiving. I'm open to receiving messages. I'm more open to receiving healing, and more open to learning. And since I've stopped drinking, the amount of energies that I have around me, I can feel. It's just like my ears actually vibrating now. That's what happens when I go, you know, I'm conscious of, I used to subdue all that, because if I go right back to my childhood, being really, really, really little, like confirmation age, before confirmation age, my dad's house it had energies there, and I don't particularly believe that they were nice energies. Until my confirmation certificates, my little Maria, you know, Virgin Mary statues, my rosary beads were all put in my bedroom. It kind of subdued, it stopped. And we lived just at the bottom of our road. There was a spiritualist church. My dad always said, you don't go in there, they're nutters, they're all crazy. You know, it was just so anti anything afterlife or spirituality. Again, he was a proud Yorkshire Catholic.
Yeah.
Stoic, you know, is rules or no rules, you know, that kind of. And obviously that got me I want to go in this spiritualist church. And I started dabbling a little bit when I went to university. Oh, maybe before actually. I'd done things like the Ouija board, which was ridiculous because we didn't protect ourselves. It was just, hey, we're pissed, let's go do a Ouija board, which is just mind-blowing now looking back. And it wasn't until I was away at university and I started seeing things and hearing things, and they were good they were good spirits, because one was my uncle. My uncle came through to me quite a lot, and he actually came through to me when he passed away. The night he passed away, he came through to me, The next day I went to university. I went to uni. My mum was at my house by the time I got back from uni, and I just went, I know why you're here. And she was like, no, you don't. I'm like, I do. I know why you're here. You're with my sister. There's no reason for you to come and see me. We've not arranged it. You've come to tell me that Uncle Dennis has passed away. Well, she hit the roof. You've been doing this Ouija board thing. Da, 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 da. And I went, Mum, it's cool. And I wasn't upset because he'd come to visit me. And I'm a lot closer to him now in his passing than what I was when he was on this earth plane. And there's all this, again, that was kind of cool. I was cool with just being visited by Uncle Dennis. That's fine because I knew him. I wasn't so cool when other people started visiting me and I didn't have a Scooby-Doo who they were.
Yeah.
That freaked me out, which was another reason I drank, because I wanted to block that out. If I'm asleep and I'm pissed, I'm not going to be aware of what's going on. And, you know, to this day, I still sleep with the light on. I still sleep. I've got a crucifix above my bed. I have my crystals around me. And before I go to bed, I put 4 angels, either side, bottom of my bed and top of my bed. And that's because I had a really, really nasty experience. I think it's 4 years ago now. So whilst I was really in the midst of heavily drinking, I was also doing a lot of work for funeral homes. And I remember being dragged off my bed and and that made me an insomniac for 6 months. And all my friends would phone me every morning, how have you slept? I've not slept at all. And I was functioning on nothingness. It was just no sleep, just pure alcohol. And I think since I've stopped the drinking, I've been able to reassess the whole spirituality thing and embrace it rather than be fearful of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still all new to me, but every night I will pull my angel cards. I'll meditate. I will meditate when I get up. I'll do my journaling when I get up. And I constantly speak to spirit every day. So much so that when I do go see mediums, they do ask, are you here to check up on us? You should be doing what we're doing. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that. I'm just quite happy with my little angelic realm, giving me the loves and the healing. And and I'll use my white sage to smudge the house to get rid of any negative energies, and also myself, get rid of any negativity on me and to protect myself. So
I think that's beautiful.
That was a real massive thing for me to embrace that. And again, I put that to Danny, my earth angel, because I've always had an affinity with angels. I used to go to school every morning and I'd do the Stations of the Cross. For about 5 years, I did the Stations of the Cross before I went to school. But I was always drawn to the angels in the stained glass window. When I had some powerful healing last September, I went on a retreat, and it was all to do with my chakras, yoga, voice vibration healing, and it was completely not what I expected. I thought I was going to learn how to be a motivational speaker. It was all about my voice. I was there going, I'm going to be like Tony Robbins. Not that I would. And here I am in yoga gear, laid on a yoga mat, crying my eyes out, meditating, opening up chakras. And we'd have to sit and then discuss. So what visions did you? And every time, it was the Virgin Mary, absolute Virgin Mary. She came through to me, vision of blue, and I had private healing, and it was just so weird. It was wonderful.
that's the thing, isn't it?
Honestly.
That's the whole point of like, that's the whole point of like spiritual healing. And the thing is, there are going to be so many people that are going to resonate with what you're saying, because so many people are really trying to, how do I put it? It's knowing that we are protected.
Yeah.
It's knowing that, that as human beings, we are protected, that we are loved.
Yeah.
That we are, that we are cherished. I think what you're saying is a lot of people have actually been through those times or something similar. I know a few friends who've had dreams like that, where they've had premonitions, and then obviously that thing has come to fruition. They've dreamt of someone, on the night that they died.
Yeah.
And that they've come to them in a dream and stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me about Habit Breaker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and how that connects to spiritualism as well, because I think, or have you connected spiritualism to Habit Breaker? So I know I've connected a lot of it to alternative personal training. So it'd be really nice to hear.
There is a lot of spirituality that goes on. I take my clients through. Well, there's certain things that they can do. So Habit Breaker is a motivational membership community. So you can be a paid member, and you will go through a 28-day program, New Beginnings program, a 90-day program, or a 365-day program, and within that's just daily support. So you'll get daily support through email and video, and a lot of the reframing work that we do in that. So our analogy is, I always get that word wrong, analogy, reframing. So it's realization, it's engagement, it's focus and fun, relaxation, action, mindfulness and mindset, inspiration, nutrition, and exercise, grace and gratitude. So the spirituality will come in the form of meditations, yoga, all things like that, visualizations, because I do believe that the way to break an unhealthy habit is to really visualize what it is. What is it that you aspire to be? What is it that you want to be? And to break a habit, you have to make a habit. So, and that is not saying, right, okay, I'm not going to drink, but I'm going to take cocaine. I'm not going to drink, I'm going to gamble. I'm not going to drink. I'm going to go, do you know what? I've always wanted to do burlesque dancing, which is exactly what I did last year. Don't want to drink, so instead of sitting my ass down and not functioning on all cylinders, because I'd be at the computer at 8 o'clock at night, not functioning because I'd done a full day, I didn't know how to turn off. And that's another thing, that's an unhealthy habit, knowing when to switch off. Procrastination, another habit, unhealthy habit. It's about finding something that gives you joy, that gives you a motivation to do something different. And that's what I did last year. I went and learned how to do burlesque. And that's the thing. We try and give you something that you can action. So whether or not that's signing up for Race for Life, something big, something really challenging, so that you go, right, okay, I need to get fit for that. If I do drink copious amounts of alcohol, or shove a load of coke up my nose, or, spend all my money on shopping online or gambling, I'm not going to succeed to the end result. My biggest success story is a woman, and she was a gambler, and she'd spend hundreds of pounds before she even got out of bed. Because it's, again, readily available. You go online, okay, I'm going to do this, and this. And she messaged me, she said, Christine, I need your help. And at that point, I was only focusing on alcohol because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know if I can help you. And she said, I need you to try. I need you to try. So she went through my 12-week one-to-one program. And I am not joking. This woman in lockdown, well, prior to lockdown, she set up her own business. So she left her company. She left her company. She set up her own business. She is going all around the country delivering handmade furniture. So that's what she did. So rather than get up and focus on gambling, she set up a business, and she's making a living out of it now. So it's life-changing for her. And the sad thing is I can't really shout about it because her partner didn't know she had this gambling habit. So she would be phoning friends, can I borrow some money? I need to pay the rent. Can I borrow some money? I need to do this. Or, you know, now she's letting me know, Christine, I've paid for my holiday. I'm taking the kids here. And it's like, I can't believe it. Absolutely can't believe it. And that's because of the 12-week one-to-one program. So that's another thing we do. We do the 12-week program, and we also do online seminars. So it's a 6-hour seminar, and we'll teach you the tools for you to implement it. But whereas the one-to-one, it's more interactive, and the 12-month program, it's daily emails and support.
That's fabulous.